everyone. This is Charles Gross from Two on the Aisle, and I'm here with Dave Lefkowitz on Dave's Gone By, UNC Radio.
Here on the 11th Annual Total Theater Tony Show, we have an old friend of the program. He's been on Dave's Gone By. He's also been on a bunch of our Tony shows, and we're thrilled to have him back once again. He's Charles Gross. He is the co-host and kind of the founder of Two on the Aisle, which has been on the air for almost 25 years now on Manhattan Cable. Plus, he did a one-man show a few years ago called How I Found an Affordable Apartment on the Upper West Side of Manhattan Without Really Trying, that played in the Midtown Fringe Festival, and he's hoping to bring that back at some time soon. But right now, we have Charlie Gross in the neighborhood, and we welcome him once more. Hello, Charlie.
Hello, Dave.
How did you like the season?
On the whole, it's been a pretty good season. I will say we just lost one David L. on Broadway, so I'm glad we still have the other.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And he only got paid a little bit more than I do, which is quite amazing, yeah.
I really can't understand why.
I always had the talent between the two of us. But you have a talent for reviewing shows, which you do on your program. Two on the Aisle is kind of a Siskel and Ebert sort of show that you co-host with our other friend of the neighborhood, Leslie Hoban Blake.
Yes, if you live in Manhattan, you can see it on the local cable, Channel 54 on Time Warner. But if you don't live in the area, you can see it online on Daily Motion or on YouTube.
It's not only that you can go to MNN when your show is live, but
right.
You're bringing your shows onto YouTube where people can see them.
You've got the whole show where we're thinking about also just posting segments, too. You could see the classic segment of Dave and I reviewing the original production of The Little Mermaid.
Oh, yeah.
Why we got so much of a response on that one, I will never know, but almost as interesting as the review was the letters that we got, including a couple of threatening physical harm.
Incredible. I mean, it wasn't a good show, but I was right about Sierra Boggess. She did go on to bigger and better things.
And, well, she's back right now, and should have been you.
Oh, right. Well, I haven't seen it. I don't know if it's bigger and better than The Little Mermaid. But let's swim towards our category,
okay.
Which is featured actress in a play, and those include Annalee Ashford, and You Can't Take It With You, Patricia Clarkson for The Elephant Man, Lydia Leonard for Wolf Hall Parts 1 and 2, Sarah Stiles, Hand to God, and finally Julie White in Airline Highway. Charlie Gross, what are your thoughts?
What are my thoughts? Well, it is a respectable, if not overly exciting lineup, I think. I think we can scratch Patricia Clarkson for The Elephant Man. Number one, the show is closed, and that's always going to be a few points against you. And number two, although I did like the production in general, I wasn't overly enamored with her performance.
Okay.
Lydia Leonard, Wolf Hall Parts 1 and 2. Now, that's a show that I really did enjoy. That's long. Kind of reminds me of Nicholas Nickleby.
It's 2 parts, 3 hours each, but it's this big historical fiction, kind of, yeah.
Right, and that's a very hard show to be noticed in. And I don't think that her performance was strong enough to win the Tony Award on here. I think the performance here that everyone really notices is going to be Ben Miles, who I believe has been...
He is nominated for Best Actor, yeah.
You know, she's good, but again, she kind of gets swallowed up by this production.
Okay.
Julie White, Airline Highway. We have a beloved actress, a talented actress, in a very disappointing play. You know, she's all right in it, but the play itself isn't very impressive, and the role is not one of her best. I mean, we loved her in The Little Dog Laughed.
Yes.
I'm sure you can enjoy her in this, but this is not a Tony-winning performance.
Okay, well, we've got two others. We've got Annalee Ashford, and we've got Sarah Stiles. So, who?
Well, Annalee Ashford would be my choice. She was in You Can't Take It With You. Excellent revival of the Kaufman and Hart play. She plays an aspiring ballerina who will never be a ballerina, but she spends the entire play with all these incredible dance steps. She's on her toes half the time. It's a physically funny performance, and also just funny in general. I was very impressed. She really stood out in a play that included people like James Earl Jones and Mark Lynn Baker. Really good production, really excellent performance.
Cool. And what did you think of Sarah Stiles and Hand to God? I'll bet you're like me. I'll bet you did not like Hand to God.
I don't know what to make of Hand to God. I kind of liked it, but I'm not sure I understand it at all.
Okay.
That's one of the strangest plays I have ever seen.
Well, you don't hit off Broadway that much, but okay. Certainly one of the stranger ones you'll see on Broadway in many a year.
Yeah, it's amazing that a play like this is on Broadway.
Fair enough. So Sarah Stiles
Sarah Stiles plays the girlfriend of an amateur puppeteer whose puppet has basically taken over his life. And she has this one incredibly hilarious scene where she confronts him with her own puppet.
Yes.
This very shapely lady puppet who proceeds to seduce and consummate the relationship with the other puppet. And the hilariousness of the scene is, first of all, watching the puppets just going at it, even realizing that they have nothing below the waist. Although this has been done before in Avenue Q. But here you are also watching the actors, in other words, the puppeteers, and their reaction to what's going on. And it's a priceless scene. And I think because of that scene, and because Hand to God is a new play, she will win the Tony, even though I would personally have chosen Annalee Ashford.
Wow, that's interesting thinking. You might very well be right. Can I ask you, were there any egregious omissions in this particular category, or you might have a couple all through the whole slate of Tony nominations, people who should have been nominated but weren't?
There is no one in this category that comes to mind. You know, Annalee Ashford, Sarah Stiles gave some good, solid performances, and perhaps even stand out. I don't really think there was anyone else this season who I would have substituted or who I would have put in. However, I was disappointed in a few other categories. My disappointment this year is that Honeymoon in Vegas was not nominated in any of the major categories. Maybe it's tucked away in one of the technical categories.
I was stunned that it did not get a Best Score nomination.
Yes, because I think this is Jason Robert Brown's best work. And Bryn O'Malley, who played the Sarah Jessica Parker role, how was she left out of the Best Actress role? But the Julie Andrews Award for most egregiously overlooked category and show this year has to be Sideshow. Sideshow is, of course, the story of the Hilton sisters, Siamese twins, who prior to Sideshow were probably best known for a movie called Freaks. And the original Sideshow did not run very long, but it did develop a cult following and certainly made theater stars out of its two lead actresses.
It was Alice Ripley, who was a friend of the neighborhood, and Emily
Skinner.
Skinner, yes.
Who went on to do a couple of albums together and actually appear in another musical together.
Cool.
This production, in my opinion, was superior to the original in every way. They took the story, they made it a lot stronger, a lot more potent. It's just a much better production. And how this musical, I'm shocked that considering the good reviews and all the anticipation of having it back on Broadway, this show did not, barely, I think, manage to keep up with the number of the original, amazes me. And how was this show not nominated for Best Revival of a Musical? There are only 3 shows nominated, so it's not like they were lacking.
I saw the original Sideshow. It did nothing for me. I wish I had seen this one, because so many people said it was revelatory and so much better. But,
it was. Yeah. It basically explored the earlier lives of the sisters. I think you may remember in the second act there was someone who wanted to marry one of them and he backs out at the last minute. They came up with a much better excuse for him not doing it. Essentially, well, I guess the show is closed, so I can give it away. It turns out he was gay. So that added another dimension to it.
Right.
You didn't have in the original. Unfortunately, I can't marry you because I'm gay. It seems to be a recurring theme.
As opposed to, I can't marry you because you have a whole other human stuck to you. I mean, that would be enough for me. I kind of understand that.
but then why would he have wanted to marry her in the first
place? Well, just for the sex, probably.
Okay.
Anywho, we've been talking with Charlie Gross. Charlie, last question for you.
Sure.
What was your favorite show, on, off, or wherever, the whole season?
That's a tough question. There were a lot of good musicals this season. I would say if I had to narrow it down, I would say on Broadway, Something Rotten. Off-Broadway, I really liked Fortress of Solitude.
That was a musical that played where?
This was at the Public Theater.
Oh, cool.
And this is, I think, based on the book of the same name, about 2 young men who grow up in Brooklyn during the 70s. They become very close friends. One is black, one is white. They may briefly become superheroes, I think. And then their lives take 2 very different paths. And I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed Hamilton, which was also at the Public, now coming to Broadway. Again, I enjoyed Honeymoon in Vegas.
Well, we have enjoyed having Charlie Gross back in the neighborhood for our Tony Special. Remember to watch Two on the Aisle. You can catch it on MNN Network, or a few days later, get them on YouTube. You can watch them anytime to hear.
Motion.
And what was it? Daily Motion?
Motion, yes.
DailyMotion.com to see Charlie and Leslie Hope and Blake banter about shows just the way we've been doing here. It's been fun for 24 years, and I wish you another 24 doing Two on the Aisle. And thank you for being with us in the neighborhood once again.
My pleasure.